This is Twit.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yeah, time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, augmented reality, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Outside that area, you can still call free, but you have to use Skype out. Something that can, some VoIP solution that'll call a phone number. 8888 Ask Leo. Website techguylabs.com. Chat room is irc.twit.tv. And on we go with Wesley in Los Angeles. Hi, Wesley.
Hey, Leo. I'm on my last nerve. I have a question about Google, Gmail, and the whole, whatever you want to call it. Recently, Gmail stopped coming on my desktop. They told me it had been, they couldn't be sure it was me, and they asked me some questions in order to recover my Gmail, which I've been using for the last 10 years, and I don't have another Gmail.
Did you forget your password, or you entered your password?
I forgot my password, and I always relied on the fact that if I forgot my password, they would simply send me to a site and ask me some questions, and then they would send me a security number. I'd put it in, and they'd let me make a new password.
Right.
But they stopped that. They told me they couldn't do that because they weren't sure the website, the Gmail.
They don't want somebody hijacking your account. That's about as bad as it can get. You lose your Gmail account, especially if that's your primary email, because that means you lose everything else. If you then the bad guy goes to Twitter and says, "Oh, I don't know." Okay, we'll mail you a reset. I don't know. It goes to your bank. I don't know. Oh, we'll mail you a reset. And all of a sudden, the bad guy's got everything. So Google, there probably is no big company more careful about security than Google. They are really good. And for that reason, you talk about breaches all the time, but Google's never on that list of breaches. It's always very, very secure. They do have, of course, recovery options, but it's going to get more and more draconian because you have to really prove you're you and not some bad guy pretending to be you. So you can't.
And I've been to their recovery program like 6 times, and each time after about 3 days, I get a canned response that says, "We still can't tell whether it's you. Give us some more information." And by now, I've given them so much information that I don't think they have my waist size or anything like that, but they had everything else.
And you're sure you're doing this with Google, right?
I'm sure I'm doing it with Google, but here's the kicker. On my cell phone, I can still get the old Gmail.
Yeah, you'll be able to for a little while, because what happens when you'd probably notice this, as you log into Google, it sets a cookie that for at least 30 days will let you continue to log in. But after that, at some point, your phone's going to say, okay, you need to re-authenticate. Yeah, but generally, if you don't change devices, you're good. You don't have to do the authentication again. So, but it may not last forever, and eventually you're going to have to get a new cell phone and all of that.
So on the Gmail app on my cell phone still goes to my old Gmail account, but the old Gmail account on my desktop is blocked off.
Yeah, because your phone knows it's you, and Gmail accepts that, because at one point you did authenticate with the phone, but you've forgotten your password, so you can't log in on the desktop anymore. Is that correct?
Right. And is there a way that and you never get to a person on...
It's not Gmail's fault. You forgot your password.
Right.
And they're trying to protect you, because somebody else could say, I forgot Wesley's password. I'm Wesley. Yeah, I'm Wesley. Right. So they're going to make it hard on you. I'm not sure why the recovery hasn't worked yet. Maybe you're answering some of those questions wrong.
Well, they don't ask me any questions. They don't ask like the questions I first put in order to.
Well, they don't use and wisely, they don't use security questions. That's a bad security
question.
That's a bad security practice. So this is where Google really does it right. Their security is very, very good. The questions they're asking you are questions that in theory only you would know the answer to. And I agree, they're difficult. If you've forgotten your password, apparently it may be what's happened is you've done it enough that they're finally saying, okay, we can't, we're going to really make sure this is him. But there are things like, when did you first create your Gmail account, and what was the first email you sent? Things like that are very, very difficult. Try recovering it from your phone, because the phone does know it's you. It might be easier to go through that process on the phone. If you go to support.google.com, they have a support note 729-9973 on tips to account recovery. Read those and try to. The good news is, since you still have access to the account, you'll have things like your first email. You should say, if you haven't thrown it out, somewhere in that email pile, there'll be your first, welcome to Gmail. So there'll be things that you can do. In general, if you're going to use Google, I wish, frankly, this is why your bank is not as secure as Google. This is why Facebook is not as secure as Google, because it's an inconvenience. There is a direct trade-off between security and convenience. The more secure it is, the more inconvenient it will be. And Google wants to be secure. They understand that they are protecting the crown jewels, your email address, and all the other things in your Google account. And that they're doing what's right. In order to, be effective with Google, there's a few things you should do. And if you haven't done that, do this right now on your Google account. Attach a phone number to your Google account. Attach another non-Gmail email address to your Google account. Maybe if you have an address with your internet service provider, something you have access to, obviously. Use two-factor. And most importantly, create a good Google password that you then save. You don't want to be forgetting your password. A lot of times people don't create good passwords. They do my daughter's birthday and my initials plus my phone number, something like that. That's secure. But the problem is then they forget it, because they say, well, that's easy to remember. And they forget it. My mom does this all the time. I set my mom up with a password manager. Almost everybody has too many passwords to remember. If you're not using a password manager, you're undoubtedly doing something insecure, like reusing passwords or making up passwords with birth dates and initials that aren't good passwords. Get a password manager. Let it generate the passwords, and you store those passwords in there. Don't forget them. Google's doing everything it can to protect you. Unfortunately, if you forget your password, that may be so much that it keeps you out of your email. So this is a time to set up a recovery phone number, a recovery email address. Use two-factor, because that makes it even better. Two-factor, and Google explains all of this, how to use it. And then really don't lose your password. Because if you do, you might just have to set up a new Google account. And you've done it. Just keep doing the recovery. Hope it works eventually. But nothing I can do to help you. There is no one at Google to help you either. It's a free service. They're doing the right thing, is all I can say. And it's the burden is on you to follow good security practices. The reason your bank doesn't do this, the reason Facebook doesn't do, so many sites don't do this, is because it's a pain in the butt. The bank uses security questions, terrible security questions. The bank text messages you if you forget your password, terrible security practices. But they do it because then you won't be in Chip's shoes saying, oh, I can't get in. But it makes it very much more vulnerable to bad guys. And so Google's decided not to do that. And all I can say is that's the way to do it. That's the right thing to do. And I don't blame you, Chip. As our chat room is pointing out, I have a Bitcoin wallet with a passphrase I can't remember. And quite a bit of Bitcoin in there. So It happens to the best of us. But that's the price. You know what? That's the price I pay for security. I blew it. I didn't put it in my password manager. I don't know why, but I didn't.